Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. Chin Yang here, and I hope you're doing well. In today's video, we're going to be addressing one of the most confusing body types to have, which is the skinny fat physique. So many women struggle with being skinny fat, and it's often harder to recognize and address, and hence why it's such a big challenge to go from skinny fat to toned. Now, what is skinny fat? So skinny fat is when you appear thin and small when you're wearing clothes, but then when you're naked, you kind of look soft and round and a bit chubby. Now, this is essentially because you lack muscle mass, and that's why you have no definition on your body. So your body weight may not be that heavy, but what's making up your body weight is mainly body fat rather than muscle mass. That's also why no matter how much you try dieting and exercising, you still just can't seem to get that defined toned look, and that's simply because you have no muscles there to begin with. So in today's video, we'll be going through 3 main approaches to get you from skinny fat to toned so that you can figure out what's going to work best for you, just breaking down all the BS on the internet. Now, several factors contribute to you being skinny fat. It's not just about working out more and eating less, which is what many of you guys think. It really actually does come down to your workout program, how effective you're actually training towards building on muscle mass, and obviously optimizing nutrition to allow your body to be in a place to actually put on muscle mass whilst dropping body fat. That is ultimately how you're gonna go from skinny fat to tone. Now, I know what you're thinking. There's this ongoing debate about whether you should bulk first or whether you should cut first. What should you actually do? So let's break down the 2 approaches now. Now, number 1 is cutting first may seem like the best approach in terms of reducing that stubborn body fat that you have left, especially around your stomach. However, what happens is it could also result in you losing muscle mass, the very little muscle mass that you already have. Now, this is going to do nothing but keep you looking skinny fat. It's also important to recognize that weight loss is not the same as fat loss. If you lose weight simply by just eating less and not actually training, then the weight that you lose on the scale is most likely going to be muscle mass rather than body fat, and that's why you keep feeling like you still look a bit squishy even though maybe the scale weight's dropping. By just cutting out calories and not training effectively, you're ultimately going to stay looking skinny fat. Now, the second alternative is obviously bulking first and actually building on more muscle. Now, in this process, you might also gain some body fat just because you're eating slightly more than your body needs. Now, this may make you feel like you look a bit bigger. This is also why a lot of women then feel like they're getting too bulky from lifting. Their goals are tone up to go from skinny fat to toned, and then they suddenly go back to dieting because they freak out. Now, this is not the case. You have not put on too much muscle mass, ladies, but it's simply because you put on way too much body fat and your nutrition wasn't actually in line towards your goals. So now, what typically does work best is what we call a body recomp. So building muscle and losing body fat simultaneously at the same time. Now, this is only going to work for you if you're quite new to proper training and you've never really followed a consistent program. So you're going to get those newbie gains while still being able to eat at a maintenance or in a slight deficit to lose that body fat. A balanced diet that's high in protein, carbs, and healthy fats is also really important in terms of you making those gains. Being in a slight deficit or maintenance is going to allow you to build on muscle mass, but also to drop body fat. Now, this is obviously only the case if you are following a training plan. Otherwise, just eating healthy is not going to enable you to get that body that you want. Now, a great example of going straight into a building phase would be my client here. So when my client here came to me, she expressed that she had felt skinny fat, wasn't really sure whether she should go to a building phase or a fat loss phase. There was still fat that she wanted to lose, but she'd been really struggling to get that last bit of stubborn body fat off. Now, taking a look at her body composition and her photos, I knew that the best approach for her would be actually to go straight to a building phase, to start eating enough to be building on muscle. She'd been someone who'd been dieting her whole life, and there was absolutely no way that we could further diet her down to get rid of that body fat. She essentially just did not have enough muscle mass. Now, her food intake had always been pretty low. She had never really been properly resistance training. She'd been doing a lot of HIIT, a lot of cardio, so she was in the perfect place to really build up that food through a reverse diet and to really focus for a good 1.5 years on just building on muscle. Now, a perfect example of a body recomp phase would actually be my other client here, Virginia. Now, she too felt skinny fat. She had been dieting her whole entire life, trying 800 calories, the Korean diet, restricting different foods, intermittent fasting, and she just wasn't getting to where she wanted to be. Now, because she had some foundational level of body fat to actually strip off, what we did was I brought her into a slight calorie deficit, and then I also made sure that she was really prioritizing resistance training, not doing any of the cardio that she had been doing, but really focusing on building muscle mass. Now, because she didn't have prior resistance training experience, more so in terms of actually having a progressive plan, she had been to the gym, she had tried like workout classes, but nothing actually properly tailored to her. Her body was also in a prime place to actually put on muscle mass to really obtain those newbie gains. So we were able to actually build on muscle mass whilst dropping down body fat to get her to go from hair to hair. Now, she dropped between 8 kgs between these two photos whilst putting on muscle mass, whilst building her confidence and also improving her strength and her relationship with food. So I hope that these client examples and to show where they were starting from and what phase they went into also helps to explain to you perhaps where you should be starting off from, whether you should go straight into a body recomp phase or whether perhaps you need to spend some time actually building on muscle, eating in a surplus to actually tone up. I know that sometimes those visual representations can help because it's not always clear exactly where you're starting off from. Our bodies all look quite different. Our starting points are also quite different. So it's hard to say exactly what you need, but with these visual representations, I hope that perhaps you can actually resonate with one of these starting positions, and it can also help you understand where to start if you're trying to go from skinny fat to toned. Now, strength training, especially big compound movements, are going to help you build on that muscle that you need to create that toned and defined look. Now, something to bear in mind is that whilst you're eating at a maintenance or a calorie deficit, it is going to take you a bit longer to build on that muscle. So if you're opting to build muscle and lose fat at the same time, just bear in mind it's going to take a bit longer than really dedicating to a building phase or a cutting phase separately. Now, this gives you even more of a reason to make sure that you are following a proper training plan, progressively overloading and really training hard if you're eating at a maintenance or a deficit to ensure that you're able to put on some muscle mass. Now, remember, rest and recovery is just as important as your exercise and your diet. Your muscles actually grow and repair when you're giving it time to rest. So the biggest mistake that I made as a beginner was literally going to the gym every single day, ladies. I was squatting every day, doing all these things, thinking that the more I did, the more results I would get, the faster results would be. That is not the case. So make sure that you're training hard, you're eating well, but you're also resting just as hard. So I would recommend 1 to 2 rest days per week where you're literally not training your muscles. Maybe you go out for a walk and you do some active recovery, some stretching, some rolling out, but please don't be going to the gym every single day thinking that that is going to help you see results faster, because it won't, and you'll burn yourself out. Now, remember, everyone's fitness journeys is going to look somewhat different, but if you are currently skinny fat, I really do hope that this video helped you just sort of understand how to get from skinny fat to tone, what you need to be doing, and just to prevent you from making any mistakes that I made on my fitness journey. Now, also make sure you like this video and subscribe to the channel. I'm going to be bringing out a lot more informative information as well. And also, if you haven't joined the Instagram family, that's cz.fit. I'd love to see you guys over there. Otherwise, I will see you guys in another video. Bye!